you full of shit. I'm gonna tell you why. Listen, no. I'm gonna tell you why you full of shit. If you have people stalking you, sending death threats, or doing things to really disturb your environment, which happened to Charlie Kirk even beforehand, you wouldn't just sit back and like, well, they failed. No, you want precautionary action. You want preventive measures. You want the police, the law enforcement to actually go and engage them. Go ahead.
Guess what, Bree? When you're a public figure, when you're in the public eye and you say inflammatory things, that's what comes with the territory. You just have to,
DJ, you're too smart for this. That's not what we're talking about. That's not what the fuck we're talking about, DJ. And this is the problem. We always do this bullshit when you don't want to deal with the situation at hand. We know what it. No. But that's not what's being disputed, DJ. That's not the fucking argument. We're talking about what to do to fix the fucking problem. You want to do. You don't want to address it because you don't want to fix the problem. This is why your base is fucking nuts. There's no problem to be fixed because they like it. Your base is left leaning.
Now everybody on this app know everybody on this, maybe you don't know me, but everybody on this app knows that not to be the truth.
You're not left leaning?
I'm actually fuck Pepe, am I left leaning?
No, he's
okay. He's not right.
He's in his future. He's right leaning.
Yeah, he's independent on his thinking.
Well, my apologies then. You're right, I didn't know. My apologies. I'll take it back. Okay, fair enough.
Here's my thing. I'm holding the right accountable because I don't like the way my side is behaving now because you guys are showing yourself to be no different than the left with this Charlie Kirk thing.
But DJ, again, the right has been offering a hand to the table. All the basket of deplorables. They gave a pause. A lot of conservatives actually said, hey, you know what? For the sake of the country, don't go after fucking Hillary Clinton. After his first election. And pushed them to do that. Literally pushed them to do it. A lot of people were upset by this, but it was a large group of his base that said, please, for the sake of the... don't go after Hillary Clinton. Let's be done with this shit and let's start fixing the problems at hand. We need to fix fucking shit across the board, and we want our energy focused. Again, it got a little fucked up. I'm not going to say it was perfect. There were some great things, there were some bad things, and there were some things that were just left on the table, and then voila, a pandemic. Then we watched the greatest wealth transfer. Then you have this whole Trump was shot at once, and then there was a second attack planned on him. You had an immediate cancel culture that went through removing prominent people and people, quote, associated with January 6th, because remember, January 6th was the darkest day in the entire country, that apparently surpassing, slavery, Jim Crow, 9/11, Pearl fucking Harbor, all of those other events. Nothing could compare to January 6th per Nancy Pelosi. So no matter what, this was the horrifying day, and people who weren't even in the Capitol, who were just there, had their bank records exposed, given freely by Bank of America, Wells Fargo. They gave it over without even asking for a warrant, without the FBI saying, hey, here you go. They handed that shit right off to the Biden administration. And then they brought in the security net. They expanded the Capitol Police range. They even put a Capitol Police in California next to Nancy Pelosi, which made no fucking sense to me to have a district there. But then they again made all these provisions and then went up there and attacked it. Remember, draped on either side, a Marine on either side, red highlighted backdrop, and Biden going, the most dangerous threat to America is Trump and his supporters. And literally that was called out. Like that speech on primetime TV came up, and Biden said that shit, and guess what? The left ran with that and said it. Remember, they said Catholics were a threat to the country. PTA soccer moms questioning their fucking school boards was fucking accounting to equal to fucking revolution, and we needed to suppress it. This was the left. They did this stuff, and now because of, you know what? I'm not really comfortable with giving the left a pass. I'm comfortable letting these people have that again. They're shooting. They're doing these things. They're cheering it on. They're egging it on. They're wanting it on. For fuck's sake, Kathy Gifford started off holding a Trump-severed head. I mean, where do you want to go? I'm still waiting for people to sit there and go, give me the conservative mainframe. I'm saying that the right will do violence. I'm not saying they're completely innocent, but if we're going to weigh these scales are so heavily weighted in the left side that I'm almost to the point where I don't even want to speak. I don't even care if they're at the table anymore. I really don't care. I don't want them in power. I don't want to hear their thoughts. I don't want to hear their ideas. especially after watching how the left in this country has actually carried itself cheering and saying, let's get rid of all conservatives this way. They wanted the fucking war, let's give it to them. I'm perfectly okay with it. You want to go bullet for bullet, shot for shot, fist for fist, whatever it is,
I am. So Brad, I agree with you, bro. And like, I like the fact that Charlie Kirk was going on these college tours, deprogramming this leftist agenda out of these college kids, and he was really putting in work on that front. But here's where he crosses the line. When he starts trying to tear down MLK's legacy, and this is a man who, yes, of course, he was a flawed man. Everybody's flawed. But the fact that you want to hyper focus on his flaws versus the fact that this black man MLK took a bullet for the love of his people, and you want to tear down his legacy for what? For what? Because I could talk about all the evils of most of the founding fathers. They all had slaves. Andrew Jackson was a fucking murderous psychotic. But we don't talk about that shit. Because there's no reason.
because the Democrats on the left don't want to talk about their founding father, which was Andrew fucking Jackson.
So I mean, I'm just saying, why tear down a person like MLK, a person who took a bullet because he was trying to free his people, by pointing out the fact that maybe he was a womanizer. Who most famous people are. I don't give a fuck who you are. If you're famous, most likely you're gonna be a womanizer. That's just the reality.
Hey, but DJ, wasn't Charlie open for any intellectual to challenge him on his position on ML King, whether you felt like he was wrong or right? But now we can't do that, right? Because the response was to kill him, right? That's the point that we need to make. I don't think people believe everything that Charlie Kirk says. I voted for Donald Trump, okay? A black man, even though I look like a white man, right? I don't agree with every fucking thing Donald Trump says. I know for a fact, though, he's better than those other ones on the other side. I'd certainly rather have him running the country than those fucking loons running the damn country into the ground, right? So we don't agree with everything that everybody says, but he was open for debate. And what did the left decide to do?
And I would submit he took a bullet for freedom. So why can't we do this, DJ? This comparison that your particular leader that you admire bullet for somebody or for some group of people, I suppose, and then I mean, I don't think it's that far fetched to be able to make those kind of claims.
Yeah, and look, because Friday, I understand where you're coming from, but I think you have to, and it's difficult, but I think you have to allow other communities to have their perspective on their icons and who they feel like represents maybe something that other people's community would represent for them. For me, Charlie Kirk was a brother in Christ in the sense that we were both evangelicals, or at least we were both raised that way. So I see him in that sense. I don't see him necessarily as a Martin Luther King, but I do understand from the Zoomer perspective, a younger individual, particularly white men, why in a world where they don't see the American dream being obtainable, why someone like Charlie Kirk, who is not only living the American dream, but showing a pathway to them reclaiming that, why they would see him and his assassination as a Martin Luther King type figure for them. Not that he has to be for you, but that for them and their movement, why he would play that role.
You know, guys, I just want to read you guys just one passage that Sam Harris published regarding the Charlie Kirk incident, or should I say the political assassination of Charlie Kirk. He said something that I found very profound and there's a lot of truth in it. He says, since deleting my Twitter account nearly 3 years ago, I've generally ignored social media. However, in the last 48 hours, I've spent enough time studying the response to Kirk's death to be further convinced that platforms like X and TikTok are destroying our culture. No metaphor does the problem justice. I've compared social media to a dangerous psychological experiment, a hallucination machine, a funhouse mirror, a digital sewer, but nothing captures the ludicrous insults, moral injuries, and delusions that millions of us avidly produce and consume online. If the medium is the message is mass psychosis, and it will send us careening from one political emergency to the next. The fact that some of the most deranging and divisive content is being created or amplified by foreign adversaries, I agree with that, and that we have literally built and monetized their capacity to do so beggars belief. We are poisoning ourselves and inviting others to poison us. That's a pregnant way to put it.
Well, interesting you say that, because is it a coincidence that the pharmaceutical industry and technology, especially the internet, use the same term when they talk about people? They call them users. When they talk about giving you a drug or anything, they call you a user. Users of our product. You're users. So to not think that, I mean, obviously there's going to be negative and positive externalities from it. It depends on who's wielding it and what benefits you get out of it. He who masters whatever controls thought and behavior obviously is attempting to get a result out of it. It's just like the story of the Wizard of Oz. Who is the wizard behind the curtain, pulling the strings? Who are the people creating the algorithms? Who are the people wanting to make sure that certain things get put on the internet, regardless of whether they cause detriment to society? Because if you think about it, this is where politics and economics intersect.
I actually don't believe, was that you, Alpha, that was speaking in regards to the internet? I actually don't believe people from either in modern day, the left, particularly on the internet, because if you recall, many moons ago, the conservatives were asking for restraints on them. Like, Texas just put up a blockage on porn, and that was fought back by people who wanted, quote, free speech and wanted the ability to jerk off to young kids online, which is really fucking disgusting. But they wanted this ability. In fact, sued to actually block these and multiple attempts to go ahead and do this. And so when conservative groups or conservative foundation groups or particularly Christian groups who are saying, hey, I don't want this in my child's life. I don't want the ease of access. I don't want the ability to do it. It gets fought, and sometimes it gets overturned. Sometimes the liberals, the left wins, the right sometimes wins. Like Texas is holding true. Unless I knew that their resolve has stood, that they're going to continue to ask for age verification at the very least, in order for someone to get online. Now, how much that helps, I don't really know. I don't really care. Don't really watch the shit, so it's not my wheelhouse, and my kids are grown. But when groups do try to say, hey, this is what we want for our children, this is the type of environment we want to raise our children in, they're often forced into, they have to control, how do I say this? They have to force to comply with another view, even despite the fact that that view doesn't reside in that area, or even have children to begin with. It's not like, there's vast communities that are saying, hey, I really don't want books depicting sexual positions and behaviors of LGBT members in my third graders' library. I want to remove those books out, which they've had massive protests. They've confirmed, they visually have told us what books they want to remove because of the very indecent things that are in the books themselves. And they received pushback, they received ridicule, they received cancellation, they received a whole bunch of hate. And so the right has now protested and rebounded back and said, hey, this is where we're going. Guess what? We're your Target shoppers. Guess what? On the weekend, we're your Bud Light drinkers. No, we're not going to buy that. You're going to either have dips in sales or you're going to cater to what we want. Oh, schools, for sure. We're going to win school boards. We're going to win governorships. We're going to win this area. And then we're going to determine our own rules. And they're doing it. And this is going across communities. It's happening in Black communities. It's happening in Asian and Hispanic communities as well. So it just appears that white liberal snowflakes really can't figure out that the rest of the fucking country doesn't agree with their stance. And no matter how many times you try to force it, the conservatives are now tired. They are now pushing back, and it's not just the conservatives, it's the middle of the road. And it's a whole lot of other people in a lot of other minorities that are fucking sick and tired of the bullshit.
But Brett, see, I understand everything you said. In fact, I'm quite privy to it. However, where does this stop? I mean, will it attenuate to a point where things will be normal enough for people to disagree with each other, people not to push a particular extreme agenda on each other or try to control each other, but to compete more politically than physically, and then fanning the flames of war and violence. I mean, who draws the line exactly? Where will it anyway?
Actually get prosecuted for their crimes. Like, for example, the Trump administration have kind of been hinting that they want to bring George Soros and his kids up on RICO charges for funding all this illegal activity that the left has been doing for the last couple.
Finally.
Like, so things like that have to happen. Look, at the end of the day, if people broke an actual law, they need to be prosecuted on it. But for some reason, the left oligarchs get to walk around this world of, and they've been doing this shit since Kennedy. A lot of people talk about Elon Musk being a right-leaning oligarch, but the left has been fucking had oligarchs that's been controlling shit. Remember during the Black Lives Matter, the Occupy Wall Street protests, these magical bricks getting placed? Like, that shit is a crime. How come no one got prosecuted for? You can't just. It was pallets of bricks lined up in front of these banks for people to throw bricks into the window. Who put those bricks there? Because that's clearly a crime. How come no one ever got prosecuted for that stuff? A forklift had to literally lift that shit and them down. That means someone paid a lot of fucking money for that.
And that's the thing, though,
Friday. I think
we, as part of the public, if we fall for it and become puppets, do you know what I mean?
But Alpha, you're asking for something. You're asking for something that should have been. Like, I know Matt can find it. I know Free and a bunch of other people, because you know how I know that people have sent me this. It's about an hour and a half long, the full video, but there's been clips of it circulating on social media. It's literally that leadership talking political incitement, and they're saying go out and harass, harm. We need to get after him. You have Jasmine Crockett. She's such a wonderful strategist. She's a wonderful political mind. First off, the twat never fucking campaigned, never won an election. She was handed her district. She had what was called a soft election, meaning she didn't have to consent anybody. She just kind of rolled into the position. Hasn't really done my district, didn't even grow up in her district. And if you actually got to meet her before she puts on her performance, she does not talk how she acts on TV. Absolutely 100% does not talk like that at all. Because I know, I've seen her, I've met her. She does not engage that way. She only talks a certain style when she's in front of the cameras or knows there's a big crowd or an event around her. In small private conferences where she's asking for money, she sits there and talks a completely different way. Her articulation switches more than Hillary Clinton's statements on Benghazi, more than Kamala Harris on whether or not she supports Israel or Palestine. I kid you not. But she woke up one day and said, I want to see the end and the downfall and the elimination of Elon Musk. And she got her wish. People were running around, carving Nazi signs, swastika signs at people's fucking expensive cars, firebombing fucking Tesla stations, destroying Tesla charging stations, and all for the sake of what? Political leaders inciting violence? But we don't hold any of it. And to DJ Friday's point, yeah, but to prevent it, you need a Democrat leader who's going to say, hey, I need to come out there. And right now, there is no one in the DNC that is a leader that could actually have the left in any particular way, let alone
look what they've
condemn
done
that
now.
violence. So, I mean, even Bernie Sanders giving his milquetoast warm apology and saying, hey, we should condemn violence this time around. Where was that kind of statement and feeling when the fucking the crazy fucking nut job shot up the baseball game? Like, you didn't give that kind of rendition. You didn't walk around saying we need to end political violence. We need to stop it now. He didn't say any of that shit. He didn't run around saying all that. No, what they're afraid of is actually the reverse. They're now getting afraid of, well, wait a minute, this may have escalated too far, and we may be the people that are next. It may be an Ilhan Omar or an AOC or Bernie Sanders that gets hit. Like, let's be honest. And is anybody on this side, conservatives, going to go cry? No. Should we post memes about how happy we are? Absolutely. We should post 1,000 memes for that shit. Because you guys on the left had no problem doing it. And I'm not above. I'm not like king. I'm not forgiving like a lot of Christians. I'm not a Christian, so I don't turn the other cheek. I believe it. I'm old world. I want eye for an eye.
What? Oh, wait, Brad.
Brad, what you're saying is contradictory, bro.
Brad, don't put that on us, Brad. We turned.
You can't turn around and say that Trump wasn't a better guy. He incited riot and violence.
I know you
Then
never. I know you never talk.
Suck my
Brad, we turned one cheek. Outside of that, we have an Old Testament that clearly tells us we are to defend ourselves and that the state is absolutely there to implement justice, right? So
You guys gotta get Old Testament quick. You need that fire and brimstone and that freaking war.
You know, look,
You need crosses painted on shields and swords drawn and start marching into war.
well,
You guys are
just
under
so people understand, right? Because I hear you, because people don't oftentimes understand the balance of the new and the old. For instance, let's say this retard gentleman that is rainbowist, right? This Tyler kid converts to Christianity while he's in jail, waiting to be executed. If he were to do that, we would accept him as a new brother in Christ, and we would wish him farewell on his way to being executed. Meaning, as a Christian, we would welcome him that he is now a new brother in Christ, but still, the state would execute him as justice for Charlie Kirk. And so that's the balance that we get in that as a personal thing, we have a personal way of looking at things, but justice must always be implemented on a societal level. So
Hey,
that's the distinction.
you know, some people on the right, as of yesterday, are starting to question if this guy is even a guy. Breitbart,
Even a guy?
that this guy is even a shooter.
Oh yeah. So you want me to speak to that?
Breitbart,
He confessed.
No, he didn't. No, so he's not cooperating.
No, that's changed, King. If you look, I can find it for you. He actually just came out, and they have, he admitted to it, plus the Discord message of him admitting to it. So I'll show you it.
Yeah, show it to me, man, because I'm hearing that he's not cooperating.
Yeah, that's changed in the last 15 hours.
Exactly.
No.
And they have a Discord message where he said, "Sorry guys."
Have they shown the Discord message? Have they actually shown it?
Yeah, he erased it. Yeah, they erased it, but they retrieved it.
Breitbart just posted. So remember the original old guy that they thought, that old white man with the bald head? Remember that guy? He was the first guy that they had in handcuffs. So today, Breitbart just posted that guy, and they about to rearrest this guy because he was clearly he was saying that he was playing a distraction. Because when they originally put handcuffs on him, he was like, "Yeah, I did it, and I'll do it again." And then they found other people who was dressed just like him, had the same shirt on. So now they're saying that this shit is bigger than what we think it is, and there are a lot more other people involved in this.
The conspiracy theorists will always say that, and it doesn't really matter anyway because on the right, we're independent and we should have a diversity of thought. So it's okay that they don't agree or
Always dismiss things to just being conspiracy theory. That's a whole conspiracy in itself, right?
Well, what I'm saying is that you often don't have any evidence. So we do have evidence on the other side that's pointing the other way. So your conspiracy theory it has zero, and I mean zero evidence, and that's what's wrong with the conspiracy theorists. They're always so smart after the fact, but if they were really smart, then they would be able to predict what's going to happen before it actually happens and prevent it from happening.
But you know how
In what context, Notorious?
Wait. Y'all know how many
In what context?
conspiracy theorists have predicted. I remember Alex Jones predicted 9/11 a week before 9/11 happened.
That is true.
And he said it exactly the way he said it was going to happen.
And several people knew, not only Alex Jones, several people knew something like 9/11 was going to happen. In addition, there have been other conspiracy theorists that have absolutely predicted things that have come to pass. Now, they're not 100%, they don't have a 100% accuracy rate, but I think the tours you have to admit that, especially the ones that have been pushed out there as like the symbol of conspiracy theorists, they have spoken on things that have happened. And it's kind of scary because even the frogs are the waters turning the frogs gay. Even that turned out to have some truth to it when they looked into the science behind those things and how it was changing the animals and their their little peepees and weebies and coochies and stuff. So we have to be honest.
So,
That
you know how that works,
go ahead,
right?
Brandon.
You know how that works, because a long time ago I called into the Alex Jones show and I talked to him about it, right? You know how it works. These guys ain't magical. They're not psychics. They have people on the inside who tell them, because in every organization, you're gonna have people who don't agree with what's going on, and they'll tip people off. So you will have people in the government who knows about these things that will tell Alex Jones these things. Now it's up to Alex Jones if he's gonna believe it or not, or if he's gonna publish it. That's all that happens. People tell on these people. It's like if you work for DARPA, it's all type of shit DARPA is working on. But if I told you the shit what it's working on, you'd be like, they're not doing no shit like that. It's crazy. But then Alex Jones, he just has the guts to actually tell us about it. Like, I remember geoengineering was a conspiracy theory. Now they admit to the shit.
Yeah, yep.
What y'all in here lying about? What's going on?
No, what's up, baby?
Happy birthday. Hi. Hello.
Hello, my second wife. How's it going?
Oh, how you feeling, Brad?
Feeling good.
What is there not to lie about?
Right, Alpha.
I do want to say one thing. This is cringe. So Pam Bondi, I don't know. They need to fire this stupid bitch. But she's saying she wants to. Yeah, I'm here.
He's running the show. What's going on, kid?
You got a new name.
Oh,
Yeah, I've had a new name. Yeah, follow me on this.
I gave you the hearts twice. King Solomon. Hey, Mom. Hey.
That's because he keeps getting targeted by a certain individual.
Okay, cool.
Who I mean.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about it here. It's fine. But I haven't been targeted lately, so I'll just keep dropping it. But I'll say, Pam Bondi she's saying she wants to prosecute the Office Max or Depot employees that refused to print the flyers for the vigil for Charlie Kirk. Now, I think that is like absolutely batshit crazy, and that is way over the line. I mean, they got fired. Who gives a fuck? But prosecuting them, I mean, that's just petty and stupid.
It is. Yeah, we got to be careful moving forward.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, oh, well, I can't say it out loud, but it rhymes with Bright Time.
Amazing.
You're about to feel some of that white power, huh?
I didn't have to say that, goddammit. Put words in my mouth.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting as this case unfolds, seeing if we can get to the bottom of the truth and who actually gets to the bottom of the truth. I don't actually think it's gonna be the FBI. I think it's gonna be us, the people. I think we're gonna be the ones that uncover a lot of this stuff to the point where it can no longer even be ignored. Because I don't think that this Tyler kid was working alone. So.
I'll just respond to somebody in the chat. Look, China is in no position to talk about democracy and leadership at all. At all. At all. What China needs to do is stop trying to bully Taiwan, okay, and respect people's choices and a sovereign country for what it is, and stop trying to repress everybody and killing dust. That's what they need to do. China is no... See, China was a democracy, right? With an opposition, I would have said, you know what? Sure. I mean, they could have a say in the free world, but they don't. They really don't. They were a until 1998 when Bill Clinton decided to bring them back in, because they were so naive thinking that China actually would return national conventions and liberalize the economy. They didn't. They did quite the opposite, right? See, China is a very dynamic and diverse way of dictating and, you know, basically, I don't know, it's a strange creature, China. Outside of China, they're all capitalists, they're all accumulating and extractivism and all of that. And inside China, they're all communists and nobody's above anybody else and long live, Xi Jinping and all that stuff. No, China has no credibility to talk about America. China needs to tell TikTok to stop trying to sow division in America, right? That's what China needs to do. And it's quite eerie when I'm not religious or anything, but TikTok, ever since TikTok has been around, the time has been ticking and talking, from just poisoning the minds of the youth, right? And really, don't you guys see it? It's ticking talking.
Yeah, that's a great point. How China basically is trying to destroy the youth of America and have a totally different practice and standard for their own people. Yeah, I remember that China was welding people in their homes during COVID, like going and welding their doors shut. So, yeah, China.
Yeah, that's true.
You cannot go outside, bad boy. Sit in there and starve.
They give some nice man.
Harold, no go outside, dog. No.
That's not nice.
Stay inside your house, bad boy.
Bad boy, stay in your house,
That sounds ugly. Stop.
That's the type of society.
We were doing good. Now you guys are getting a little racist.
That's
Right.
not racist. That's an accent.
racist, goddammit.
No, I hate it when people say it's racist to mimic an accent.
Right, come on,
It's
guys.
like
It
Arnold
sounds
Schwarzenegger
lovely.
has a silly accent. I can't even do it. It's so goofy. Everybody thinks he's cool.
But
you know?
the intent,
something about my accent.
it's the intent, okay?
Arnold Schwarzenegger's last name is racist as fuck. What do you expect?
And you know what I hate when people come up to people come up to me. Hopefully you guys can hear me. And they say, "You don't talk black."
Means black people
Wait.
like it.
What is that? Wait, hold on. Stand speaking. I said I hate when people come up to me and say, "You don't talk black." What's that? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really
that's-
I don't talk
So
black.
who's asking you this? Black people or white people?
both.
You're not
people,
freaking jive.
but mostly white. Mostly black.
So how do black people don't speak English? What is that supposed to mean?
I know. You tell me.
They want you to talk like your name.
I don't know why I've never made a comment like that. Like that is just an HR write-up looking to happen. If you say you don't sound black, it's like basically saying, "Oh wow, you're not one of the dummies."
Well, my mom named me Delia, and the oldest girl is Ava, and the middle girl is Zelda, and I'm Delia. She said she wanted us to be able to have good jobs. So I guess in the late 50s and early 60s, she was thinking about something called affirmative action or DEI. Yeah, I mean, so she told. Now I could deal with Delia because I'm a carbon copy of my great grandmother, so I just jumped a few generations, but a doppelganger. People are really always thinking how they're going to fit in corporate world, organization that they don't own or not on the board.
Well, you have to remember, Ebonics is not just ignorant speak. Ebonics, we had to master that so the white boy couldn't know what we were up to.
Here we go.
I felt like we paid our dues. I felt like
With that bullshit.
no, but I felt like if you carry the last name Sanders, that should be enough. But she, my hair's always been curly and straight at the roots, and she wanted to fit in so bad she would use Vigoro or pressing comb to just make it like bone straight and no frizz. So some people they go through that to fit in where they can get in more so. But she was more targeted at being jazzy for the corporate workforce than anything.
Amazing. Well, I don't want to stay on Ebonics, and Othello, you're fucking. Do you even know where X? People criticize black people for pronouncing S as X. that actually came. There's a dialect that was spoken by. They were more or less from the fuck is that area? It's Ulster Scots. It was kind of a poor region where like they
Appalachia you're talking about, or the O's?
Yes, but where they came from in the UK,
the Highlands in Scotland.
Yeah, they had a very butchered pronunciation of English words, and X was actually one of them. And so there's a lot. It was learned from white people.
It's not that they were poor, it's just that they spoke Scottish Gaelic. And so the Queen had to make adjustments in Glencarry, Ontario, Canada.
Well, Ebonics has a direct line to peasantry in the Anglo-Saxon world. We just have to be honest about that. Nothing wrong with it, but I mean, it has its origins. Thomas Sowell wrote an excellent book that literally details the entire history of this. You can go read it. It's called, if I remember, Black Rednecks, White Liberal, Black Rednecks, something of that sort. But it literally goes through the entire history of this.
Yeah, everything we do now, we learn from them. So.
But I understood when white people can't enunciate, no one ever questions their intelligence. But when black people
we don't.
Yeah, dude, we are brutal.
I say all the time that they must have stupid.
Like I don't think you understand. Like when it's like white people around, they will actually stop a person. Like, and I'm saying like in person, face to face. They will say that's not very good English. If you use the word ain't. Like that kind of shit, they absolutely correct each other. Whereas we won't really do it to black people because it would be considered insensitive, and they often,
But you understand different dialects. You hear ain't in country music all the time.
Yeah, but they're like that's where why do rednecks and blacks have a lot of dissimilar words, because they literally that's where do you think black people got it?
You guys can fucking.
Wait, I can prove this, King. You have Asian Americans who are white, also, and I can't understand a word. Hell, I'm in Texas today, and half of the fucking time that I go to a store or anywhere out and about, and I have to listen to people talk, I'm going, first, why does it take you a half hour to get to the fucking point? Secondly, what the fuck are you saying? Because I have no idea what y'all
your mouth about Texas. And look, this is somebody who likes to speak both. I love speaking Ebonics like I have no sense, and I love speaking proper American English. I can do both. We have to be honest about the foundation of these things, though. It's proper to speak it in one context, and it's proper to speak it in another.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
You can get thrown out of discussions because you're not black enough. You can lose your black card. So you're right about that. But guess what? People said I spoke very well. They said that I spoke Hebrew very well. And they was like, yeah, you have such a good flow, and you pronounce the words just right. So I think it's just, I just think it's by chance with people. Maybe the way their teeth are set up. Because I would have never thought I would get complimented on Hebrew.
What? Black people, we have to be masters.
This is the way your teeth are set up. What?
We have to be
So if I got racist out
I think that's what she meant.
what are we doing? Because somebody fact check that. People with racist speak better
The language that you speak does form your mouth from the South. The language that you speak does form your mouth. That's why you meet people who speak multiple languages and they have different mouth structure.
And that's what I think it is.
Look,
My structure.
what's funny is I had braces. I actually had braces.
What are you laughing at?
No, because you kind of tried to tie, I think, the proper speaking of a language to teeth structure. I think you were trying to do that.
I just think that is why some people, like, there's a room called Heavy Hitters on this app.
Yeah.
I won't go in there because he growls. And I know it's a lot of masculine testosterone.
Testosterone is crazy.
Yeah, and I'm like, hey, You know, and some guys don't talk much. Some don't. And those are the ones I'm attracted to. Because if I'm comfortable with you, I go at it all day. Blah, 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 you know.
All right, guys. Well, let's get back to the.
Yeah, because it gets silly at some point.
I know, we're not talking
Arguing with somebody else's language. Like, imagine hearing the British people listening to all this Americans
Yes.
fuck up their
Finally,
shit.
someone said it.
Yeah.
Just, North Carolina's enough. They sound like country mouse.
Yeah,
What are you trying to
because
speak about, Pepe?
we were talking about earlier about free speech, but can speech be considered violence?
No, that's just cope. No.
It could lead to violence.
Yeah, it can lead to violence, and we have
If someone
laws against
says,
that.
if you had an issue with someone and you run into them in the store and you meet them in a public place, and they say, "I'm going to kill you," is that violence?
Yeah, we have laws against that.
That your thing. You're threatening.
Those are fighting.
And they play like that, no. Because the girl did that to my coworker yesterday, and that's how they play.
But those are fighting.
No, but
correct.
you know,
Exactly,
Like,
but
it's
we're
like,
just
for
using the
instance,
broad term
for instance,
about how
here in
speech
Chicago,
is so
we say-
free, and it's not.
In
I
Chicago,
think
we
I
say,
think what really demarcate violent speech from actual physical violence. Look, tell somebody, like you can experiment this. Tell somebody, with all due respect to the panel and everybody in the audience, you can tell somebody, listen, fuck you, right, and punch them in the face and tell them, hey, which one hurts more? And maybe they'll demarcate it.
yeah, but this whole violence is speech is just it's an attempt by people who don't understand the foundation of America and the First Amendment and why this country was set up on those laws. When you advocate for speech as violence, stuff like that, you're just exposing that you don't have you have no